All right, let's get right into it. We're going to break down a huge financial shift that's already happened. The thing is, the institutions you trust with your money, they're already quietly preparing for the fallout. And according to our source, you're just not being told the full story.
And this quote right here from former Finance Minister Yanis Varoufakis is really the heart of it all. It's a pretty heavy claim, right? It suggests that something critical has already happened, a real point of no return. And while all the major players are scrambling to reposition themselves, the public is basically being kept in the dark.
You can almost think of it like a silent alarm, one that only the insiders can hear. Financial historians are probably going to look back at this exact moment and say, yep, that's when it all started. That's when the Cascade began. And believe me, the major banks heard that alarm loud and clear. And they are on the move.
And that is the million-dollar question, isn't it? If this is such a big deal, why isn't it plastered all over the front-page news? Well, the source argues it's actually pretty simple. They need to avoid panic. Your panic, our panic. It would just speed up the very thing they're desperately trying to manage.
So, let's get to the main event. What was this financial earthquake? It was a seemingly dry, technical announcement that, in reality, completely upends a 50-year-old pillar of the entire global financial system.
Okay, so here's the deal, and this is super important. For half a century, if any country wanted to buy Saudi oil, they had to buy US dollars first, no exceptions. This little arrangement created a constant, artificial demand for the dollar, which propped up its value way beyond what America's actual economy could justify. It's what people have called the exorbitant privilege.
And according to the source's projection, on November 28, 2024, that all ends. Now, the announcement was worded very carefully, talking all about flexibility. But the message underneath was impossible to miss. The dollar's monopoly on their oil sales was officially over. This, right here, is the First Domino.
You know, when you see it laid out like this, it's just incredible. We are talking about a financial deal that literally defined the global economy for 50 years, brought to an end by a single quiet announcement. Half a century gone.
So how do we know this is such a big deal? Simple. You look at what the banks did, not what they said. Their actions in the hours and days right after the announcement, well, they reveal everything.
Just 48 hours. Think about that. Within 2 days of the Saudi announcement, huge American banks, we're talking JP Morgan, Citi, Bank of America, had already updated their internal risk models. That kind of speed isn't a coincidence, folks. That is a coordinated 5-alarm fire reaction. And here's what they did. The banks quietly told their biggest clients to reduce their dollar concentration, which is just a fancy way of saying the percentage of your money held in US dollars, from about 85% all the way down to 70%. That is a massive shift. It's the financial equivalent of a seismograph detecting an earthquake long before anyone feels the ground shake.
And it wasn't just the banks. Oh no. Currency traders immediately started making their moves. The trading volume for the yuan and oil deals jumped 300% in a week. The euro volume shot up 180%. The market is not waiting for this policy to officially start in 2026. They are acting right now. And this is what they're doing for themselves internally. They're rebalancing their own money, they're changing their loan policies, they're hedging against a drop in the dollar, they're buying up tangible things like real estate and commodities, and get this, they're even hiring specialists who can handle the yuan. These are not small, cautious adjustments. This is a fundamental change in strategy. So how does this one event get any bigger? Well, this isn't just about one announcement. It's about the chain reaction that has already started, the cascade.
You see, before, ditching the dollar carried this kind of unspoken threat. But now, with Saudi Arabia, a major U.S. partner, making the first move, it gives political cover for everybody else to follow suit. And sure enough, just weeks later, Indonesia announced it would do the same, and they even pointed to the Saudi decision. Nigeria is already in talks. The cascade has begun.
According to Varoufakis, this is how it's all projected to play out. We are right now in that early phase where the big institutions are quietly making their moves. The key takeaway here is that the really big shifts will probably be done before the policy even officially kicks in come January 2026. So this all leads to a really crucial point for you. For all of us, there is now a massive, growing gap between what the informed institutions know and are doing and what the general public is actually being told.
And this comparison really lays it all out. Your bank's #1 goal is to keep the system stable, That means they want a slow, controlled transition, and above all, no panic. Your goal, on the other hand, is to protect your own assets and understand what the real risk is, which might mean you need to act before everyone else does. Right now, those two goals are just not aligned.
So what's the big takeaway? Well, we can just watch what the informed money, the banks themselves, are doing. First, they're lowering their dollar concentration. Second, they're moving into real, tangible assets like real estate and commodities. Things that hold value no matter what a currency is doing. Third, they're using fixed-rate dollar debt, which gets a whole lot easier to pay back if the dollar's value goes down. And finally, they're investing in people and skills that aren't tied to any single economy. The playbook is right there for us to see if you just know where to look.
The first domino fell. The institutions saw it fall, and they repositioned themselves almost overnight. So the question now isn't really if the cascade is coming, it's already here. The real question is, what are you going to do with this information?